What's good? What's good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of The Urban Platform Speaks. Make sure to like and subscribe as you tune into the channel and check out the content. And with that being said, man, I want to talk about a recent proposal that the WNBA Players Union submitted to the league. Right? They submitted a proposal that is projected to cost the WNBA another $700 million, right? Well, it won't cost them. It will make them lose $700 million. And this proposal, not only would it'll cost them $700 million over I think it's like a 7 year period of time, which is like $100 million a year. So I don't think that the WNBA is really going to go along with this, because when you think about it, like, from the very beginning, the NBA has been subsidizing the WNBA, and they have not, up until this point, they have not made a profit. Like, every year that the WNBA loses money, and with it losing money, it's not really a good time for these young ladies to be, to put this type of proposal on the table. I don't see a way. Like I said, I don't see a way where they're going to be able to get over this, to get this deal done. I think the deadline is coming up this week, Friday. I think Friday is the 9th. Let me check. Friday is the 9th, right? And so they got, that's if they don't get the deal done by this Friday. Yeah, Friday is the 9th, whereas though the WNBA Players Union and the league have to come up with a deal by Friday. But the latest proposal, in my opinion, is that's definitely. So what they're asking the WNBA to do is to go and take on even more debt to pay them. Now, I'm not saying that WNBA players don't deserve more money, right? Because they get paid, like, what they get paid is definitely not a lot. But with the league already subsidized, with the NBA already subsidizing this league, the league already taking, losses every year for the past 29, 30 years. Then on top of that, now the players are coming to the league saying that, we want you to take on more debt and give us more money. I don't see how they can avoid either a strike or a lockout, because the success of the league, like the recent success of the league, is just not enough. And that's why, like, they keep using that term sustainability, right? Because the success that they've had over the last couple years, like when Caitlin Clark and what's the other young lady, Angel Reese, came into the league, Paige Beckers, and the excitement that these new players have brought to the WNBA, it has brought a new a larger fan base. It caused the fan base to expand, right? But even with that expansion of the fan base and the popularity of Caitlin Clark and stuff like that, that's just not enough. They need to make profit over a period of time, and show that this league can be self-sustaining, in order for them to be able to have some type of leverage to get the money that they want. And I think the WNBA players they overestimated their leverage when it comes to, you know what their value is. They overestimated their value and their leverage. It's tough, and I know a lot of the women in the WNBA don't want to hear people say this, but I don't think they have any leverage, because if they were making a profit, and if they were a big draw like they think that they are, then they would have leverage. Then they could go to the league and say, "Well, we're worth this. We bring in this, and we expect to be paid this." That's how that works, right? But when you're talking about a business that's losing money every year, and a business that's getting subsidized by the NBA, then it is hard for them to go and say, "Well, we want to, we want to raise. We need raise. We need to get paid more." Even, like I said, like, what they get paid, the WNBA players, is not a lot. But that's just a tough sell. It's not only is it a tough sell for the league, you selling that to the league and to the NBA, who's going to who's going to have to subsidize this. But it's a tough sell for like for the fan base, because most people understand that when a business is not doing well, that's not the best time for the employees to go and ask for a raise. Although they had, like I said, the last couple years, there's been a lot of success with, um, with Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese and some of the other players that are more popular that have made the league popular. That's just not enough to hang your hat on and say, well, all right, now we want to be able to get paid more. Um, and like I said, it's this sustainability. They have to show that like this is just not a trend. Like this is something that's going to last. Like this popularity, not only is it going to last, but it's going to grow. The league, I think recently, like last year, they came out with a report that the league lost $50 million. And that's because they're taking private planes and private jets all over the place, right? So the league lost $50 million. And I think people are not being honest about like what the WNBA, I think, is a league that's being sponsored by the NBA because I don't want to say like out of charity, but I think like there's a demand, but not enough of a demand, whereas though it could support these players the way they want to be supported. For a long time, the WNBA, I mean, there was no women's professional basketball league. I had did another video when like the last WNBA. I only had the information in front of me, but the last time the professional women's basketball league was like in the 50s, or I think it was in the 50s. The last professional, or was it the 60s? But for years, right? Women like basketball and women can play basketball, but they haven't support. They haven't got the support, not just from women, but they haven't got the support from men. Like it's not something that men on a whole or enough men are going to sit there and watch women's basketball. You got to have some diehard fans like myself. Like I'll watch anybody play basketball, kids play basketball, AAU, those high school games, anything, right? But most people, if they like professional basketball, they're not really going to they're not going to support women to that level, whereas though there'll be enough of a demand for women to ask for the kind of money that these women are asking for. That it's just like the numbers just don't pan out for them to ask for that kind of money. To ask the NBA to go into debt another $100 million a year, 700 million projected loss, like over a 7 million over a 7 year period of time. The numbers is not there. I do think that the uh the NBA and the WNBA don't want to fold this league, right? And I think that they're going to subsidize it, but to an extent. Like there's a limit to how much they'll subsidize this league. And when you get to the point where where these women are asking to pay them like you pay NBA players, I don't see the NBA subsidizing the WNBA to the extent that they nowhere near the extent that they subsidize the NBA. That's number one. And so I just think that only a handful of women that's going to come to the NBA, to the WNBA, going to be able to make the kind of money that somebody like Angel Reese make, or the kind of money like what's the other Asia Wilson make, right? Only a handful of women in the league are going to be able to make, like millions of dollars a year. Is for the bulk of the women who play in the WNBA, they're not going to be able to make that because it don't like the numbers don't add up for them to make that kind of money. Like there's not a big enough demand for women across the board in the WNBA to make that. And so with the offer that the WNBA has proposed, like giving the women 4 times what they've asked for, I think I don't know if that's fair or not, but I think that's more realistic. You know, the demand is just not there. And so it's gonna be a tough sell for these young ladies. It's really gonna be a tough sell, they want millions and millions of dollars like what you get in the NBA, but that demand is not there. And you can tell if the demand was there. Like you have people wanting to set up different leagues. Like you got the B League, Project B coming for for professional women. But even Project B is going to have less teams than the WNBA and less players. So the expense won't be the same. And the season, I think, probably won't be as long as the WNBA season, right? It's just not worldwide, it's just not a demand for women's professional basketball. And so this latest proposal by the players, by this players union, man, is just not gonna get it, the NBA, they're not gonna be able to approve that. And for them to the women to think that they can approve that, I think it's just entitlement. And the women don't care how much debt that the NBA has to take on in order for them to get paid. Like they feel like it's not, that's your problem. You deal with that. And so yeah, I'm thinking that maybe there's going to be a lockout, or if the women strike, what's going to happen if they strike? I'm thinking that that they'll just bring in other women, because remember, there's only like 130 or 140 WNBA players, like 140. So they can really replace all of them, or the ones who don't come back, or the ones who go on strike. So, yeah, I don't think the WNBA players have leverage, and I don't think they're going to get the kind of money that they think they deserve. So because the support is just not there, And so that's my take on it. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Also, with that being said, don't forget to leave a comment, and I will check you all out in the next video. Peace.